Today we want to talk about Israel. It might surprise you to learn that Israel has the highest poverty rate of all developed nations. 1 in 5 people are actually living under the poverty line. That's 20%. Because of this, Crossroads Relief and Development has partnered with Leket Israel to help change that. Their Director of Christian Connections, Ray McDonald, is joining me today to help us find out more. Thanks so much for joining me.
It's great to be with you, and we certainly appreciate Crossroads and the partnership. Together, we're making a difference in the lives of Israelis in need.
Well, help me understand why the poverty rate is so high, because I think that surprised me, even though I knew there was poverty.
Yeah, well, I mean, so much of what we learn about Israel, we get through the news, and often it's bad news. But for sure, Israel has a high rate of poverty, and most Christians are really surprised to find out that fact. Israel's a small country. It doesn't have huge resources and oil riches like many of the countries that surround it. And a couple of decades back, the Soviet Union, the former Soviet Union, allowed Boris Yeltsin opened up the doors, allowing a large number of Jews to come into the country. And of course, that was really impacted the nation as far as providing housing, jobs, medical needs, and learning a language, and so on. So in Israel, there's actually a generational poverty there now. As well, the country spends, the government spends a lot of its resources on defense.
Yeah.
So there really isn't a lot of the social safety net that we are familiar with here in Canada.
I was thinking it's a good thing they don't have oil, because they already been wiped off the map and someone would have taken over, right? I mean, in a sense. But,
yes,
Leket Israel is called Israel's food bank, and it does a lot. Tell me what it does in Israel.
Okay, so Leket, a lot of people ask me, Leket, what does that mean? It actually is a biblical expression. It's a biblical commandment. And God said in Leviticus chapter 19 that you are not to glean all of your harvest. You're to leave the gleaning for the widow, for the orphan, for the stranger, for the needy. So a beautiful picture of it, actually, Cheryl, is in the story of Ruth. If you remember this Moabite woman who her Jewish husband had died, she went to Israel with her Jewish mother-in-law, and she said, "Where you go, I will go. Where you lodge, I will lodge. Your people will be my people." So they were in need, her and her mother-in-law, and she went into the fields of Boaz, and she did the work of Leket. So Leket Israel is kind of the modern adaptation on that. Israel is just like Canada. Well, even though there are hungry people in Israel, just like Canada, Israel has a surplus of food. Lots of food. Even here in Canada, I think it's something to the effect of every day for every single Canadian, there's a pound of food that is wasted, that never reaches somebody's table. So what we do as an organization is we go after that surplus food. We have several hundred farmers that will provide for us some acres of their crop. We have about 50,000 people that volunteer
volunteers. I know, that's insane.
For us annually. Yeah, many of them are Christians and Jews that are visiting the country as part of a tour. So also we are involved in hot food rescue. We go into cafeterias, into restaurants, mall food courts, and hotels. Food that's not consumed by the end of the day, we want that.
Yeah, and this is a global movement. This whole wasted food thing is a global movement where people are recognizing the wasted food. So let me just say, you feed 150,000 Israelis, provide tens of thousands of students with sandwiches, you glean 300 tons a year, you distributed 25 million pounds of food in 2014. This is not like a small little endeavor. So we've been partnering with you here at Crossroads for over a year. What does it mean? I know Israel many times feels alone as a nation, or that people don't stand with it. So when you see, Canadians, for instance, as we are in this case, helping Israelis that are suffering, what does it mean to them?
Yeah, well, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the news regarding Israel, and even just before Christmas, there was a United Nations Security Council resolution condemning Israel. so many countries threatening to boycott Israeli products. It is easy for Israelis to think that they don't have a friend in the world. And Israelis know for sure who their friends are, and they know that they have friends in the evangelical community. Mm-hmm. And every time I visit Israel and I go into our office, you know, you can hear the buzz through the office. Hey, it's the Christian guy here. And so many of them want to come and just shake my hand, and they very much appreciate the partnerships within the Christian community, and especially Crossroads.
Well, we are so privileged to partner with you. And you know, the Bible talks about how we should bless Israel.
Yes.
So how is this part of that biblical command?
Yeah, well, God said to Abraham, Genesis 12, I will bless those who bless you, I'll curse those who curse you, and through you, all of the nations of the earth will be blessed. And of course, we see that as Jesus. But I think a growing number of Christians just really see that that is just as relevant today, perhaps even more relevant today than it's ever been before.
We're so pleased to be part of it. You know, one of the most precious things that Leket does, and something that really encourages my heart, is helping Holocaust survivors. A lot of these people have lost their entire family, wiped out in the Holocaust. Mm-hmm. They're getting very old, can't work, can't, you know, take care of themselves.
Yes.
And tell me what you guys do for them.
Well, you know, in many cases, the Holocaust, these are survivors that are quite old, and they don't even have any relatives at all in Israel. Monthly, they have to decide, particularly now in the wintertime, am I going to have enough money to heat my apartment? Am I going to have enough money to pay for the medication that I need every month? So food is something, we have a major emphasis on nutrition as well. So often the people that don't have the resources to buy the food, they're not necessarily purchasing the healthiest food that they can. So yeah, we provide food to hospices and to elderly Israelis and Holocaust survivors. So.
Love it. Well, love the work that you do. Thanks for coming and telling us about it.
My pleasure. Thank you. Great to be here with you.
Yeah, so pleased to partner with you. And you know, if you've given to Crossroads Relief and Development, hey, if you want to get involved in blessing Israel, you can go to our website at crossroads.ca and get involved. And you know, there is a blessing in it. So come on and join us, and let's make a difference for the poor all over the world.